Welcome to Brand Rescue, a marketing and PR podcast for businesses who want the real deal, not trendy fluff or complicated funnels. From PR to paid ads, we share free advice that actually works because mediocre marketing is so last season. Ready? Your marketing comeback starts right now. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Brand Rescue. So we've been on this little tangent lately of talking about advertising. So I figured I would continue the conversation. So I will say this. I think advertising is something that's a little bit of a sore spot for people because a lot of business owners feel like they're wasting money or they feel really frustrated about like, I don't know what's working, what's not working. And so again, all they see is they're writing a check and they're really not sure exactly how many leads or customers or clients they're getting from it. So you guys would literally be shocked at the amount of businesses that I've worked with over the last, gosh, I don't know, 12, 13 years that I would say to them, okay, so where all do we they would hire us, we would start working with them. And I would say, okay, so where all are you advertising? And they're like, oh, nowhere, nowhere. And I'm like, nowhere? What do you mean nowhere? Well, all of it was just kind of like wasting money and we didn't really see a return on it. So we just stopped all of it. And let me be the first to tell you right now, y'all, you have to advertise for your business. And advertising really does work if you are getting in front of the right people and having the right message. We have a whole other episode where we'll dive into that more, but advertising does work. And some people are so focused on trying to see, okay, I paid $100 and I got this. Like they want that immediate direct return. And sometimes it's not going to be that way, which we're going to talk a little bit about. But I am constantly helping guide business owners on how to spend their money. And trust me, y'all, I'm frugal. Okay. I grew up in South Mississippi and my dad was raised really in very, very poor family, right? They didn't have a lot of money. My dad is frugal. My dad was a banker and I am frugal. First of all, I'm frugal with my business. I'm down to spend money if I see return from it. Or I tell my team all the time, like, I'm down to buy whatever software we need. If it saves us time, if it saves us money, it allows you guys to do something we couldn't do before. I'm down to buy y'all whatever software you want and you think would be helpful, right? So I'm frugal doesn't mean cheap, right? Frugal just means you're incredibly mindful of how you spend your money. And I get it for small businesses. So like they don't have a big budget, so every penny that they spend really does have to make something happen, right? But it's not always going to be a direct form. So, as I guide, different businesses on where they should be advertising, I think it's kind of unique for industry, for their situation, what market they're in. There's so many different things that go into where should they be advertising. And I am a big believer in like diversifying, like don't just put all your eggs in one basket. They all kind of work together. It's called integrated marketing. And it's like that's actually what I got a master's degree in, was integrated marketing communication. So all the forms of marketing working together, to help elevate your business. So as I make suggestions, a lot of times a business owner will say, oh, we already tried that and it didn't work. It didn't work. We don't want to try that again. And I'm like, okay, so tell me how much you put into it. Tell me show me what the ad looked like. There's so many reasons why it maybe didn't work. But this is a form of advertising. And I'm always so interested to see if you guys can guess. But this form of advertising was hot in the 80s. I wasn't around before the 80s. Okay. So, I don't even remember the 80s, but I was here for them. At least the second half. This was hot in the 80s, 90s. And as the internet has obviously taken over the world, literally, this form of advertising actually dipped down for a little while. But I'm here to tell you, I mean, maybe it never fully went out, but it is more, I believe it's more effective now than it was before. Um, and if y'all are ready, I'm just gonna tell you. Are you ready? It's direct mail. Direct mail is making a comeback. Gosh, that sounded so Southern. Direct mail. I can't I can't not say it that way. I'm Southern. Direct mail, okay? Direct mail is making a comeback. And this is totally just my speculation, but I think that it's making a comeback because we are so inundated in every other way of our lives, right? Like everything is digital now. Everything is hitting us on a computer, on a screen, on our cell phones. And, we're so inundated by digital that now when you get something in the mail, you're like, wow, what is this? It's like something tangible to like touch, hold, feel. So yeah, direct mail is making a comeback. And it's really beneficial for certain types of businesses. There are some that I would never ever recommend it for, but I will say this, local business, if you're trying to market to people in your local area, yes, local business, you can be really effective. And also it's really great for new local businesses. Okay. So we had a dentistry client years ago that did a quarterly mailer. Um, yeah, 4 times a year, and they would only send it out to new people that just recently moved to town. It's pretty wild. Some of these direct mail companies can, like, really target down, um, all kinds of things, but they were able to pull the people who recently moved into town, and so they would send just a mailer out to those people every quarter, so that way it wasn't crazy expensive. I mean, it's not super cheap either. Wasn't crazy expensive, and the moment somebody new moves to town, they gotta have a dentist, you know? So it was a great strategy, and they saw really great return from it. We also did a mailer years ago, for a, chiropractic office that also offered, can't even remember what the service was, but it was something like, it was some type of software program that they did for people that were struggling with ADD and ADHD. It was basically like a neuropathway work. That is not the right terminology. Sorry in advance. This has literally been like a decade ago. Okay. So, but they did it was a neurological program that they did to help people with ADD and ADHD. And we were actually able to pull within a 1 hour mile radius, a 1 hour radius of their office. We were able to pull households that specifically had neurodivergent people living in them. Isn't that so interesting? Right? Especially because my first thought was like, isn't that a HIPAA violation? Like, how would they know that they have neurodivergent people there? But yeah, so we were able to pull a list and only do a mailer to people that had neurodivergent. Someone in the household was neurodivergent. Isn't that crazy of how targeted that can be? Now that is freaking worth your money, right? So we also had a new restaurant that actually built a new location, and it had a huge neighborhood behind there. So we did a one-time, howdy neighbor kind of mailer to the entire neighborhood, gave them a special offer, and actually encouraged them to sign up for the neighborhood list. And we would send special offers just to people in our neighborhood. So we got their email address. See what I mean, y'all? So we used the mailer to get their email address, which then we would send offers to them going forward. So that's also going to be what we'll chat about here in just a second. So, but I will say this, when you want to do a mailer, you've got 2 options. Number 1, you can go with one of those companies, the ones I was just mentioning. I have done it both ways. I've done it actually. So the last example I told you about, the restaurant with the neighbor, we did those ourselves, which I'll tell you about in a sec. But the first 2, the dentistry client and the neurodivergent thing, those were done through a company. And some of these companies are so awesome. Like they design everything for you. They they build it out to like have all the tracking and everything. So it is very turnkey. You literally tell them, you send them images, logos, what you want to promote. You need to send them the copy and everything. They fully design it, let you approve it. They send it out. They deal with all of that. You literally just tell them what area of town you're trying to target or like what demographic you're trying to hit, like certain household income, if it's a really expensive service, that kind of thing. Literally, the mailing company handles all of it. Everyone's going to say, about how much does that cost? I cannot quote you a price because it's different in every market. It's also different based on the size of mailer you do, the number of mailers you send out. There's so many different factors. Also, the style of mailer you wanna do. If you wanna do, like, a really hard plastic, like, we had one where, like, you break off the little gift card, and those are a little more expensive because 'cause you're doing the perforated edges and all that. I can't tell y'all a quote, sorry. And also inflation, hello. I'd probably tell you a quote, and then tomorrow it'd cost 10 times more. So, that's option 1 is to go with a company. Option 2, like what we did for the restaurant, we did it through Every Door Direct Mail, EDDM. Just Google that. It's actually through the US Postal Service. So you can get on there, and talk about bootstrapping for my small business peeps. You can get on there and actually pick all the neighborhoods that you want, set it all up. Now you would have to create your own mailer and everything. You do have to create it. Actually, I think now EDDM, I would have to look into it. I think they have an option to design and print it for you and then mail it, but you still have to submit the design, right? So you do have to. It is very cost effective, to be honest. Again, it's all dependent on how big the mailer is, how many neighborhoods you select, all that kind of stuff. But if you do want to save some money, Every Door Direct Mail is a great option. Um, but I will say what those mailing companies can do is freaking phenomenal. And honestly, I in my experience, if you're gonna do something regularly, then I would just do it with a company because you can probably negotiate a really good deal. Which we should do an episode on negotiation because it's my fave. Okay, so those are your 2 options, but here's the kicker, y'all. If you're going to do direct mail, first of all, anything you do in advertising, do it full throttle. Number 1, if you're wondering why it's not working, it's probably because you half-assed it. Let's be honest. The mailer looked cheap or you freaking designed it in Microsoft Word. Like, have some pride in your brand and, like, get it professionally designed. And even some of your Bobo designs in Canva aren't cutting it, y'all. Like, if you wanna be taken seriously, take it seriously, and don't be upset when you feel like something doesn't work, but you skimped, you know? So if you're gonna do something, give it a fair shake and actually really do it right, okay? I'm gonna get off my soapbox. So, number 1, have it professionally designed. Again, no, not some Bobo look. There is some good stuff in Canva, but yeah, I it's so tough because some business owners will say, "This looks great." And I'm like, "No, that does not look great. That looks like someone designed it in Canva," you know? I'm not a graphic designer, and if it looks like something I could recreate, then you need to level up, okay? Number 2, the copy you include. Literally so important. Don't spend the money on this mailer if you're gonna make it look cheap, and then you don't even focus on the copy. The copy is what determines if they take action or not. So there you go. If you have done something, tried a strategy or a tactic in the past and it didn't work, it really might be that is an excellent tactic for you, but the copy you were using wasn't correct. So usually I see a lot of businesses will put a ton of copy all over something. It's like they want to maximize their dollars. And so they want to put 27 paragraphs all over a 4x6 mailer. Okay, that's not happening. That's not effective. You have point 0.5 seconds to get someone's attention. They need to know who you are, what you do, and why you are either the first, the best, or you're different. You've got to communicate that in a short amount of time and have some kind of reason for them to reach out to you or give you their email address or sign up for your newsletter or whatever the call to action is. Okay? If you have 6 calls to actions on your mailer, they're all going to get watered down. So I tell people, like, have one call to action. Scan this and book an appointment. Call us for an appointment. Drop your email here for blah, blah, blah. Like, take advantage of our, new to town offer or whatever. Have one call to action, okay? And be strategic in the copy. Try to get your message across in the least amount of information, in the least amount of words. How about that? Okay. Um, Also, I would say use a photo of a human, especially if you're a service provider, if you're a dentist or something like that. People connect with people, right? And especially if you're a local business, like people want to know who owns the business, what they believe in, like what they want to see you. They will connect more if you put an image of yourself or your team on there, okay? That is literally proven, statistically proven, that advertising is more effective when it involves a human, and even more so a human making eye contact, looking directly ahead, looking at you, you know? So use photos. I'm always preaching about how to humanize your brand. Even if you're a plumber, people want to know who they're working with? So that's number 3, use photos of humans. And number 4, the biggest one, you have to have tracking in place. How do you measure if this is a success? Okay, I will preach this until I'm blue in the face. Not every form of advertising, the actual success has to be like we spent $5,000 on mailers and we got $25,000 worth of this. Sometimes the point of the mailer is to get more people to your email list, right? So like yeah, and then they get on the email list and you nurture them and then eventually they buy, right? But sometimes the way you track or you measure doesn't always boil down to immediate dollars and cents. Maybe your mailer is top of funnel. Like I said, it gets them on the email list. The email list gets them here. The lit da 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 da. Like it's a step in the process, right? So you've got to have some form of tracking. Now they have QR codes and you can put them to a special landing page and then you can even track that to see if they go all the way and book an appointment. Yes, QR codes also made a comeback. It was like they were a thing and then they went away for a few years and then COVID brought them back with a vengeance. So QR codes on a mailer, great idea. No, do not do like bring this mailer in. Y'all, ain't nobody doing that anymore. You think somebody's gonna hold on to that for that long? You know what I mean? I mean, gift cards now are digital, like how many places actually give you a gift card unless you like go in there, right? So no, your tracking should not be bringing this mailer for 2% off. Maybe that's a whole other podcast episode about weak offers. Yeah, get 0.5% off of your next service. That is not motivating anybody. Okay, sorry. I get on these little tangents. But you can do the QR codes. That definitely helps. Also, unique phone numbers. And when you're working with one of those mailer companies, they set up a unique number for you and they can actually do it. Okay, follow me here for a second. I'm probably going to butcher this, but let's say you have a unique phone number on the mailer. Call to set up your appointment with the dentist, okay? So let's say you call that number or whatever, and um, maybe you make an appointment, maybe you don't, whatever, and then you go search for that dentist online, right? They can actually make that trackable phone number also pop up in the Google feed so that when you get that appointment, when they call and they make the appointment, it still gives credit to the mailer for bringing you that lead, right? Because a lot of people are going to do that. They're going to see your mailer and like throw it on the counter and be like, oh, I just got a cleaning, but maybe I'll need this in like, 6 months or something. They'll leave it there for a little while, but then they'll like, Google you later, you know, and then they're still going to get that trackable phone number. I'm like, that's freaking rad because they are working really hard to show you that the leads that they're bringing you are converting, even if people don't literally scan the QR code and go straight to your website like that. So, direct mail making a comeback, y'all. So would love to hear back from you if you've done direct mail, if you thought it was effective, or maybe you didn't think it was effective. Maybe we do a troubleshoot call. Somebody asked me about one of those. I was like, that's actually a pretty cool idea. It's like have a business owner come on as a guest on the show and let's troubleshoot their stuff, whether it's a form of advertising or their email blast or whatever. Like, let's troubleshoot why something may not be working. That sounds actually like really cool. I love y'all's suggestions. Thank you for sending them to me. I love connecting with y'all too. So feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Whitney Lee. You can also connect with me personally on Instagram. It's the Whitney Lee. You can also follow your marketing heroes. All right, y'all. We will see you on the next episode. Have a great week. Thanks for listening to Brand Rescue. For more practical marketing and PR support, head over to yourmarketingheroes.com and let's fix that hot mess you've been calling a strategy.